Board Game Social, hosted by Dean Leggett. Board Game Social, hosted by Dean Leggett. You might think you've seen something, but you ain't seen nothing yet. So many games, it's unbelievable. You couldn't play them all, no, that would be inconceivable. Well, Dean's gonna check some out for you, shine a little light on just a few. Board Game Social, hosted by Dean Leggett.
Greetings everyone. Today on Board Game Social we take a look at the game from Gale Force 9 called Tanks, a World War II tank skirmish game. This new release is for two players, roughly 30 minutes. It plays fast. You can scale up the players if you want to with the point system. That's really your call. But deep down and inside the box, it's really designed to be a tournament style game, much like X-Wing. So we're going to take it to the tabletop and see how it plays. So what exactly comes in the base game? The base game is going to come with 22 different starter tank cards. There are US, British, Soviet, and Germans. There's 6 US, 4 British, 8 Soviets, 4 Germans. And then it's also going to come with upgrade cards. I believe there's 26 universal cards that can be used by anyone, and there are nationality-specific ones as well. Some are upgrades on equipment, some are different commanders for those different nationalities. They all have points assigned to them. Your tanks have base points. Obviously, a tournament-style game where you're going to have base points, upgrade points, and then you're going to play a 100-point game or a 150-point game, whatever the tournament says, or whatever you and your friends set for your casual game. It is interesting that they give you so many different tanks to start out with, because they're only going to give you 3 tank models to start the game. So I guess if you have other tanks available, if you already have some plastic tanks or some resin or lead or pewter or whatever you have, you can proxy them in as I did. So that brings us to the tanks themselves. You're going to get 2 Sherman tanks and 1 Panther tank. These are not the tanks you're going to get. These are actually mine that I've proxied in. They are pewter, lead, whatever you want to call them. And you are going to get the joy of putting together your own plastic tanks. These are by the Plastic Soldier Company. They're nice quality. I mean, the detail is really good. I just don't have any desire to build tanks. I've built enough of them in my life through tabletop wargaming that I will never assemble these. So I'm just not going to. But this is what actually comes in the game. All right, so as you know that up front, you will be assembling tanks unless you have other tanks to proxy in yourself. You also get some terrain in the base set. You get some woods. A couple big wood areas. You get some top-down views of some buildings, both destroyed and non-destroyed. And then you get some critical hit cards, which you can use if you score critical hits during battle. Some arrow movement markers, some dice, some combat tokens, so on and so forth. So they give you everything that you need, obviously, to play the game. The only thing that probably they need is more than one quick reference card for each player, but that's a minor point. So how does the game play? Well, let's find out. Okay, so to set up the table, players are going to alternate taking turns placing the terrain out however they want. It depends on the type of player they probably are, if they want a lot of terrain around them or not. But it's going to be on a 3x3 table, and that's primarily for tournament's sake. Each player is then going to roll a die. The player that rolls the highest can determine whether or not they want to be the attacker or the defender. The attacker is always going to win ties in initiative if there are ties based on the tanks and the upgrades involved. So that can be, it's usually the advantage to be the attacker to win those initiatives. So the game is basically played over 3 turns, or over 3 phases in each turn. The first one being movement, the second one being shooting, and the third one being what they call the recovery phase, or the command phase, I should say. And it's very simple. During the movement phase, the player with the lowest initiative has to move first. During the shooting phase, the player with the highest initiative is going to get to fire first. So you're going to look at your card and it's going to tell you what you have. So here, the first number, the lightning bolt, that is the initiative. The next one is your fire power. The third one is your defense, and the fourth one is your attack or your hit points or health or armor value, whatever you want to call it. That's how many hits you can take before you're dead. These numbers can be influenced by the upgrades that you have. They can also be influenced by the critical hits that you may get during the game. But in its essence, it's very simple. Movement, lowest initiative has to go first. Firing, highest initiative gets to fire first. And you're going to alternate. So here we only have 2 tanks, so we know it's going to be pretty simple. But say you're playing a larger point game and you have 4 or 5 tanks on each side, then you're going to bounce back and forth. You might have 3 U.S. tanks go first and then 3 German tanks go. Just depends on what their initiative is. So play through a quick turn. It's pretty simple. So movement, lowest initiative is going to go first, and that's the Americans. They can move once or they can move twice. The more you move, the better it is when people are shooting at you because you're harder to hit. But it's also worse for you when you're firing at someone else. So it's a give and take. So he can move once, he can move twice, and you're going to stick your moving arrow at the base of your vehicle. You're going to move it up to the top of your vehicle. That's a movement. Doesn't matter what type of tank you are. The movement is the movement. So, and you can also then choose to change facing at the end of your movement as well. Movement is very simple. It is it's about as simple as you can get, and it may be the biggest flaw in the game. So there's one move, and let's just say, and he's going to move here. So he's moved twice. You're going to put a 2 marker down next to him so you know he's moved twice. And then it's going to go to the German tank. So the German tank can move once. If it wanted to, let's just say it's going to move once. It's going to come out here. And we're going to leave that there. So he's moved once. That is the end of the movement phase. You then go to the shooting phase. Okay, so that brings us to the shooting phase. The shooting phase is just as simple as the movement phase. You're going to look at who's got the most, or who's got the highest initiative. In this case, it's the German player. You look at their firepower, which is 5. Any potential upgrades that might be on the tank. In this case, he does not have anything that gives him extra dice, so he rolls 5 dice. Looking for 4s, 5s, and 6s. There's 1 hit, 1 potential hit. The defender is now going to roll defense dice. You look at his base defense, it's a 1. He's going to get 2 extra dice because he moved twice. That takes him to 3. And he's going to get 1 extra dice because I moved, and that takes him to a 4. So he rolls 4 dice. He's looking to at least save a hit, and he does. Ooh, he rolled well, so he would have saved everything. So that cancels each other out. It's then his turn to fire back. His base attack is a 4. So he gets 4 dice. And I can't remember if he got an upgrade. Discard this card to reroll your attack die. Okay. So he has 2 potential hits. He's not going to waste that upgrade card because he at least got half. And the German player is going to get a chance to defend. His base defense is 2. Again, he's going to benefit from the movement as well. So he's going to get another 2 die. He's going to get another 1 die. And so he's going to try to cancel these out. He's got a 5, which will cancel that one out. He has a 4, because remember you're looking for 4, 5s, and 6s, but only a 6 can cancel out a critical hit. So this is not able to save it, so I do receive 1 hit. It is a critical hit. I will draw a card, and it says Ammo Explosion. Discard all ammo upgrade cards from this tank, plus 1 damage for each card discarded. I don't have any ammo upgrade cards. That's a gunner card, but I do take 3 damage as well. So I would take a 3 marker, place it on my thing, and I am basically down to half strength. There are some cards in here that don't give you any damage, but they do give you something else that can be repaired. Like this one is, this tank has an initiative of 0 now because it's shell shocked. So what happens if you have that? So let's say I have that on my tank. We're done firing, we're done saving, or we're done defending as well. So that we then go to the command phase. The command phase is where you have a chance to repair your vehicle or do some other things, perhaps based on your keywords that are on your vehicles. So when you're trying to repair something, you roll 1 die, and you're looking for a 4, 5, or 6. I did not get it, so this would not be repaired. It would be on their next turn, and that would affect the next round because I have 0 initiative. But at the end of the command phase, you then take off all the movement markers, put them to the side, and you start again at the movement phase. So on and so forth. It's Groundhog's Day until someone's a winner. Okay, so what do I think about the game? Well, first off, let's just call it what it is. This is a very, very light war game. I don't even know if I'd go that far, calling it a war game. That is really, truly designed to be a tournament-style game, much like X-Wing. And it's designed that way, and you can tell that because you have the point upgrades, you have the point limits, you have a 3x3 playing area, and that is for ease of tournament and for no other reason than that. Because almost every tabletop gamer has a table bigger than 3x3, but when you take it to a tournament style or tournament scene, 3x3 is very easy to get in. Lots of tables in those rooms. So I think that is probably one of the biggest flaws of the game is that 3x3 playing area, and here's why. With that 3x3 playing area, it turns the movement system, which is already very liberal, into a merry-go-round. All right, because you're already confined, and then you start moving, and now all of a sudden, it's like the tanks just start chasing each other like dogs chasing their tails. They're going in circles because they want to try to get a flank shot because you can get an additional die. You want to try to get the rear shot. So you're trying to stay, one step ahead of everyone else, and it really, I know it's not a simulation, it's a game, but it is probably the worst part of the game is that movement system. So my recommendation would be play on a bigger area than 3x3. If you expand it out, make it a 4x6, you're not going to get those close quarter battles where you're on top of each other and just trying to, chase each other in a circle. So that's probably my biggest negative for this game. The other kind of things that bother me just a little bit were savings throws. I'm not a huge savings throws person because I think that when you have a game system where 4, 5s, and 6s hit, you have to have savings throws, otherwise the game is over almost instantly. So I understand why they do it. But I've played some games of this where what is supposed to be a very fast 30-minute game drug on because savings throws were killing it. Everybody was making their savings throws. No one could take each other out. No one could do any damage. And after a while, that gets very boring and very frustrating. So I wish they would have done something, kind of like where they would have made it where based on the tank, you had a different die, kind of like Descent, or even, kind of like how they do with Imperial Assault and some of those games where they have the different colored die depending on the weapon that you have, so on and so forth. I think that could have been very easy to implement in this to allow for different firepower, different thickness of the armor, things like that. But I know at its essence what it was designed to be, so I won't harp on that anymore. For such a light game and for such a game that's supposed to play so fast, my worry and my concern is, will people really want to put the models together and spend that much time? Putting models together, I can't imagine they want to spend the time to paint them, so and things like that, because your return on your investment of time is not going to be that great unless you're going to play this game a lot. And I can't see that happening. Maybe it'll take off like wildfire. I will say this, I am not a tournament player, so I will never play it in a tournament, but that doesn't mean that it won't be popular, because Flames of War, which is another Battlefront Gale Force 9 product, is very popular in the tournament scene. X-Wing is popular, so maybe this will be as well. But I'm just not sure that many people are going to want to sit there and assemble these tanks for a game that is so fast and so light. So my final two negative points about it would be, other tournament games like this, whether they be X-Wing or whatever, the whole reason those systems work with the upgrades and the different leaders, and I think that the flaw with the movement here is because those are sci-fi settings. All right, no one has any sort of statistical data to realize how things work. And when you take a historical theme and you start putting some different upgrades on here, which can get a little hinky, it makes it harder to swallow for someone that likes historical games. The other, and that's not it's not a killing point. It's just it's I don't know. It will upset some people. They will not like it because of that. And then the final thing would be the expansions. I'm not sure the expansions are really worth the $10. And I know $10 is not a lot of money, but I'm not sure they're really even worth that. And I'll do a separate video to show you what you get in those expansions, and you can judge that for yourself. But I'm not seeing it right now as a positive. So what do I like about the game? And there were some things that I like about it. It is a fast, fun, light game that you can throw on the table. You can do a small point game and knock it out in 30 minutes or knock out multiple games in an hour. So that is good. It has a cheap entry point, $25, I believe, for the base game. And you get you get 3 tanks, you get the cards, you get other cards for the other nationalities, like I showed you at the beginning. So you can proxy in vehicles if you have them. So that is a positive. I did ask them if they were going to sell any of the cards just by themselves, like different tank cards or some different upgrade packs, for people that don't need the tanks. And they said no, not at this time, which I understand. I mean, there are plenty of people that probably can proxy stuff in, so they want to make their money, and I get that. Overall, I believe I gave it a 6 on Board Game Geek, and that was after I just demoed it at Origins one time. And after playing it multiple times, I still pretty much stand about on that same number. It's a fun game. It's a light game. It's not a war game, in a wargaming sense. It will not appeal to people that like historical simulations, but it will appeal to people who like tournament play and want a little historical theme to it. So with that being said, I would probably say try it out first. Make sure that you're okay with the movement system. But I think if you expand the table, make it bigger, that will help alleviate a lot of the movement issues. And who knows, maybe they'll tweak it on down the road. So it's a cool concept. There's nothing truly original from other tournament style games with spaceships, but overall I will keep it, I will play it. It just probably won't see a lot of table time. Well, that's it from Board Game Social. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones.